Hi, everyone. My name is Lee Waclair, and I'm an attorney with the North Carolina Pro Bono Resource Center. Today, we're going to talk about how to deal with traffic court fines and fees that could be causing a suspension of your driver's license. In North Carolina, there are over 500,000 people who have a suspended driver's license due to unpaid traffic court fines and fees. This means the person has gotten pulled over for a traffic ticket like speeding or having an expired registration, has gone to court and been found guilty or responsible, and then lost their license because they couldn't pay off their court costs and fines in time. This video walks you through how to ask the court to waive your fines and fees if you've recently gotten a traffic ticket and are preparing for traffic court, or if you already have traffic court debt that's causing a suspension of your driver's license. While the situation can feel hopeless, there is a path forward when you can't afford to pay your court costs and fines. Please keep in mind that your license may also be suspended for other reasons that you must tackle as well before you're legally able to drive. So we'll talk about two situations. The first situation we're going to discuss is what to do to avoid a suspension of your license if you've recently gotten a traffic ticket. Then we'll talk about how to get your license back if you already have a suspension. Number one, you must go to traffic court on your scheduled court date. You can't avoid paying your court costs and fines by avoiding court, and if you don't go, you can have your license revoked for failing to appear in court. Even if you can't afford an attorney or you can't afford your court debt, it's better to show up to court and explain your situation to the judge than to just skip court. This means make plans ahead of time as best you can for transportation and childcare. And I know this can get really tricky, especially if without a driver's license. If you do miss your court date, call the county clerk's office as soon as possible and find out how you can have the case relisted. Let's say you get pulled over and you get a ticket for speeding. You go to court, you show up when you're supposed to show up, you talk to the district attorney or the assistant district attorney, and you agree to plead guilty on the case. You will be expected to pay the court at least $200. If you aren't able to pay it off in 40 days, the court will notify the DMV that you didn't pay, and the DMV must suspend your driver's license. But you can ask the court to waive your fines and fees if you can't afford to pay them. And you do this by presenting what's called a request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations. A request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations is a way to ask the court to reduce or cancel money that you've been ordered to pay because you were found guilty or responsible for a crime or a traffic violation. It's also called AOC-CR-415 or a 415 motion. So if request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations feels too long to remember, just remember the number 415. At the time the judge accepts your plea, you must tell the judge that you have a request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations. And in just a second, we're going to talk about how to fill out the 415 motion in this recording. Just a note, I know it's not easy to talk about personal hardships or what you can or can't afford in front of a judge or in front of a courtroom full of people. It can be very intimidating. But it's important to be honest and to ask the judge to waive the fines and fees before it becomes court debt that's already causing a driver's license suspension. A request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations, or a 415 motion, can also help if you've already lost your driver's license due to unpaid traffic court fines and fees. So if you know you have a license suspension due to court debt, make this motion your friend. Filing this motion can be the first step to getting your driver's license back. If you aren't sure of the reason for your license suspension, or if you have multiple suspensions, which can get really confusing, order a copy of your driving record from the DMV, or you can go to our website, ncfairchance.org, and we will send you a free advice letter that explains your suspensions and how to read your driving record, and also how to resolve those suspensions. Now let's get into how to file this request for relief from fines, fees, and other monetary obligations. The first step is to gather the information that you'll need to fill out this form. If you have an active traffic ticket, meaning you recently got pulled over and you've been given a summons to come into court, you need to know the county where you were pulled over, where the court date is taking place, and the case number. If you owe criminal court debt on a case from some time in the past, you'll still need to know the case number and the county for that case and any other case that you want to ask the court to forgive fines and fees for. Then you want to collect information about your income. That includes income from employment, that includes any public benefits that you're receiving, child support payments, etc. You also want to have some sense of your monthly expenses. If you pay a rent or mortgage, how much does that cost? How much are you paying for groceries? How many people are you supporting? This helps the judge get a more full picture of what you can truly afford to pay. You want to have a sense of the value of your property, including if you have any money in a bank account, if you own your house, if you have any vehicles. And this is the amount that, let's say for a car, if you were to sell that car, what amount of money would you receive back? So if you have an expensive car, but you have a big loan on that car, you're not going to put the full amount that that car is worth because that's not the amount that you have invested in it. You put the amount that you would receive if you were to sell that car. You also want to have a sense of any debt that you owe. That includes medical debt, student loans, etc. Again, what can give the judge a picture of what you can afford to pay? And then just think about any other information you want the judge to consider that's affecting your ability to work or your ability to make a living. On the first page of the form in the top right-hand corner, it asks you to list the file number. This is your case number. And the file number, also called the case number, typically starts with a 2 or 4-digit year, followed by CR or IF, and then a 6-digit number. And then in some counties, there may also be a 3-digit county code at the end that you include. And then on the left, you're just going to list the county where the traffic ticket occurred. Under that, you'll list your contact information. So how can the judge or the court reach you with information about your motion? Under this is the ability to pay worksheet. And this is really where you get into your income and explaining to the judge what your financial circumstances are. So you'll include your income, you'll include how many people this income supports, the total value of cash or any money that you have in a bank account or a savings account, the total value of any real property that you own, any personal property that you own, what you're paying in rent or mortgage, and then any child support payments that you're paying. Under that, there's a series of checkboxes that you can select if any of them apply to you. And this is asking you about any public benefits that you're receiving, whether you've experienced homelessness or been incarcerated in the last 6 months, if you're under 18 or if you're a full-time student. So just other factors that the judge is going to consider when thinking about your ability to pay and whether they should forgive the fines and fees. And then there's a blank space for you to really tell your story. So if you have experienced homelessness, if you've been incarcerated, if there's any details about that experience that you want to share that kind of shapes why you can't afford to pay these fines and fees right now, that is the space to do it. If you have significant medical debt, or if you have a disability that limits your ability to earn, if you are a caregiver for a relative, any other details that you want the judge to know about, please include them in this space. This is also a good opportunity for you to explain how having your driver's license suspended is impacting your life and how your life would be different if these fines and fees were forgiven and you were able to get your driver's license back. On the next page, the top of the next page is the request. So this is where you're going to tell the court what you want the court to do based on the information that you've provided. If you can't afford to pay your court costs and fines, you're going to select the first checkbox that says that you're requesting that the court allow relief from all costs, fines, fees, and restitution to the extent allowed by law. Under that, there's a portion that you will get notarized if you plan on mailing this form into the court, or if you're going physically into the court to file this form, you can swear or affirm to the information that you filled out in the presence of court staff at the time that you file the form. So you're not going to sign this section unless you're in front of a notary or you're in front of court staff. Under this is the certificate of service. And a certificate of service is the officially legally recognized way of telling someone that you filed something in court. For this form, you have to tell the district attorney's office that you filed this request for relief. And there are several ways listed on the form for you to do this. You're going to just select the method that makes the most sense for you. That includes you can serve the district attorney in person, you can mail it in, you can email it in. If you're going to file this form physically in the courthouse, the district attorney's office is probably also located in that courthouse, and it might be the easiest for you to just serve the district attorney in person. If you're mailing it in, you might want to select a different method, but that's a decision for you to make. So now you've filled out the 415 form and you're ready to file it. You may want to call the clerk's office before you go in to file or you mail this form off, and just let the court clerk know that you intend to file this form, and ask if there's any local rules or anything else that you should be aware of before you file the form. And this can save you some time and the headache of getting to the courthouse and there being something else that you weren't aware of that the clerk wants you to do as part of filing this form. Before we conclude, there are a few other resources that you may want to check out for extra help on this form. For example, the Administrative Office of the Courts has a guide-in file interview that walks you through a simple, easy to understand interview and produces the form for you based on the answers that you give in that interview. Our website also has some additional information and resources. You can go to ncfairchance.org for more information about that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video is helpful and good luck on your motion.